and help groups that aren't necessarily doing it yet get going, and help them identify sort of what the next steps, what the 6-month goal, the year goal, the 5-year goal, and that's the commitment, the mutual commitment between these community food centers and these ROTC sites as far as the training and technical assistance, so that it's helping establish that infrastructure and to some degree even helping some groups do their own strategic planning around it and getting the shareholders, stakeholders in the community to the table so that everyone's at least to some degree speaking the same language and working towards the same or similar goals. I'll mention something specific to the city of Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Food and Fitness Initiative. A lot of what that is geared towards youth. It's helping identify healthy lifestyle choices, presenting things in such a way where it's not a rigid change, not telling you no, not telling people that they're wrong or bad, but really helping to provide alternatives, choices, and just a good overall initial introduction. And that's a lot of what tours at Growing Power are, is just an introduction, and why not? Let's try it. Maybe it works. And a lot of what that food and fitness initiative is geared towards is preventing something like diabetes within the sort of the larger scale of pandemic disease and disease prevention, heart, all sorts of things that stem from poor diets.
And a lot of these children in the community eat that every day. Every day. When they get out of school, their meal, because mom's at work, their meal is McDonald's. Not our youth corps. Our youth corps, their meals is potatoes, or they love raw green beans. They will eat green beans off the farm. When the stuff coming in off the farm, they will sit outside on the truck and just eat green bean after green bean. Now those kids can tell you the good crop of green beans and a bad crop of green beans because they know what it's supposed to taste like. And it's just amazing to see these little kids eat raw vegetables.
Sort of even bigger picture, looking at populations affected with HIV/AIDS and doing something along the lines of subsistence farming. Again, recognizing the potential for use of resources that may or may not be limited, as is the case of water in a lot of climates, environments, locations. So initially, working with people in communities that have identified severe problems, severe dysfunction as far as access to good, solid medical attention, or just the initial poorer quality of life access. The struggle to get access and the development of these small food systems is pretty much, we'll say, mirrored locally, nationally, internationally. It's hard to separate, just because it's young people, not so young people across the globe. It's young people, not so young people here in the city of Milwaukee. But getting to the young people, initially helping develop these concepts, help developing these skill sets, so that they can become the young entrepreneurs in their own communities, that they can really train others and develop this food production for the needs of whichever community we're talking about.
But that's one thing that we try to work on, is try to make kids that don't know what's going on learn what's going on, and pretty much have that hands-on training, and so they know how to do it themselves when it comes to that time. Because you don't know when German's Day is coming, you don't know when any type of chemical reaction, or when one of the other countries decide to come over here and bomb us finally. You just don't know when that's going to happen, and if it do happen, you want to have that knowledge. You have all these different styles of regrowing, because we can regrow a piece of land that's been, I guess, had the buildings and more buildings, several different buildings, got to rebuild with different buildings, and then finally they said they don't want nothing there and they want to turn it into some farmland. You can turn that dirt into compost all of that. You can do that for even a year or so, but not even that long. But I would recommend a year just to make sure that everything is, you know, pretty much fertilized and it's good soil that you can pretty much grow your stuff. But you just don't know when all that stuff can happen. And with that knowledge in the back of your mind, knowing how to do it, you ain't got to worry about nothing. You ain't got to sweat nothing. You ain't got to go insane in your head because you're pretty much the last human being on this earth. You don't have to do that because you'll know how to take care of yourself.
When they said 2000 came and everything was going to shut down and everybody was going to starve to death and all these things was going to happen, I knew I wouldn't starve because I lived here. I had salad, I had fish, and I had chicken. Those was 3 items that the salad grew, the fish grew, and the chickens were laying eggs. So I knew I wouldn't starve. Where everybody else was stocking up, putting stuff in their basements and stuff because that Y2K, I didn't do it. I was safe.
So a lot of it's finding out community by community, and that's the whole concept of developing local food systems and community food centers. And sort of further down the line, the regional outreach training centers is getting systems set up, growing food that people are asking for. Something like a project going in Denver or even as far as South Africa. A lot of what the demand for the training, the technical assistance, is to do something that's needed in the community. Figuring out where the waste is coming from. So while really helping people identify what's in the community, what's staring them in the face, that's going to be their soil inputs. How do they get their hands on it? How do they develop these relationships that are consistent, long-standing, usually in kind, and move along the soil production. Truly our first crop of soil, and what we're really trying to grow, or who we're really trying to grow, are the farmers that are going to grow our food. The elder farmers among us won't be with us forever, so who's going to grow that food in the future, and what are the farming practices that they're going to use? Are they engaging the community, finding out what does the community want to eat? Because we can grow all sorts of fancy stuff here, but if the community isn't asking for it, what good is it? We'll just compost it again.
So eating fresh, eating local, Will's taught us all this, Growing Powers taught us all this. Anybody that come through here, you can pick and sample this stuff fresh. It's nothing like eating fresh, eating local. And when we'll say local, it don't mean Wisconsin. Local can mean Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Michigan, because we got farmers to come over on the ferry. We utilize our ferry, and that brings money to Milwaukee. We got Michigan farmers that grow blueberries. They grow asparagus during their season. They ship it over on the ferry. We meet the ferry. We have an understanding with the captain. We meet the ferry, pick up our product. It was cut one day, shipped the next day, and in your refrigerator the next day. So in 3 days, we got you fresh product. It probably wouldn't grow in Wisconsin, but it grew in Michigan. And we do this all year round.
And they want all natural, organic, sustainable, certified, whatever. They just want something that's coming from Wisconsin in the community, whereas people's pretty much working hard trying to grow good, healthy produce instead of getting it shipped from Mexico or other places like that, because places like that, that's where you catch all them different bacteria cases, diseases, and you get some farmers who have people, I don't know how to put it in a polite way, but using the bathroom in the fields pretty much, and that can cause E. coli and several other different diseases.
Here, you know where it came from, who grew it. You can put your hand on the farmer. You can touch Will. Will grew this for me. Or you can touch some of our staff members, the marketing team. They grew this for me. So that's the amazing part of being here, being sustainable, being able to feed the community affordable, healthy food.